Father, we want to thank you so much this morning. We thank you that we are a nation that honor you, and our motto is that for God and my country. But also, Lord, we are here in the Supreme Court of Uganda and the judiciary, together with the rest of us, the religious leaders, and other concerned Ugandans, converging together, Lord, to discuss and deliberate on something that is very, very close to your heart, administering and dispensing justice speedily. It is your desire, and your very throne is established on righteousness and justice. Psalms 89 verse 14 says, righteousness and justice are the foundations of your throne. So we know, Lord our God, that you are a judge first and foremost, the judge of the whole universe. We are praying today that as we discuss, as we listen to the report, as we discuss the way forward, you guide our deliberations by your Spirit. How fast can we dispense justice in this country? How will we administer that justice to the lowest of the people in Uganda using this alternative dispute resolution? We are asking that you grant us wisdom how to do it best, how to do it fast, how to do it cheaply. And may you connect all our hearts together. We especially pray for our new Chief Justice, that you give him the wisdom, and the whole team, the deputies and the other justices and the emeritus. We pray that you will keep them in the same spirit, and that together we'll work to see that justice in this country is done in a way that brings glory to your name. So be with us today. Guide us today. Let your presence be with us today. Grant us your peace. Grant us your presence. In the name of Jesus Christ our Lord, we have prayed and believed. Amen.
Let's take our seats. My Lord Chief Justice, without much ado, and to redeem on the time, allow me invite the Honorable the Chief Registrar to lay protocol and make her welcome remarks and a few recognitions. Your Worship, please come.
The Honorable the Chief Justice, the Honorable the Chief Justice Emeritus, the Honorable Deputy Chief Justices Emeritus, the Honorable the Principal Judge, the Honorable the Principal Judge Emeritus, Chair Governing Council of the Judicial Training Institute, Justices and Judges of the Courts of Judicature, serving and retired, the Executive Director of the Judicial Training Institute, religious leaders present, the Permanent Secretary, Secretary to the Judiciary, heads and members of administration of justice program institutions, our service chiefs present, Your Worships, the registrars, members of judiciary senior management and heads of departments, development partners and members of the civil society present, Your Worships, the magistrates present, esteemed staff of the judiciary, the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. It is my pleasure to address you this morning at this important gathering. Today marks a significant milestone for the judiciary as we convene the first ever annual performance review of alternative dispute resolution, that is ADR. This occasion reflects the steady growth of ADR and its increasing acceptance as a vital mechanism for justice delivery within our courts. Yesterday, as you are all aware, we also launched the National Court Census Report 2025. The previous census conducted in 2015 recorded approximately 114,000 cases. The census report launched yesterday indicates that the caseload has now risen to 167,000 cases. We do remember that in 2015, the combined number of justices and judges was below 70. The magisterial areas were fewer than 40, and the judiciary's budget stood at approximately 190 billion. Today, the judiciary's budget is 440 billion, covering both recurrent and non-wage expenditures, and the number of judicial officers has grown to 707. Now, while these developments demonstrate significant progress in resourcing the judiciary, we do recognize that there remains a critical need for faster case disposal in order to strengthen public confidence in the justice system. We also acknowledge that case backlog continues to persist despite these gains. Holding the office of the Chief Registrar, responsible for heading the registries and assisting the principal judge in their management, I oversee a substantial caseload. I also support the principal judge in managing the registries of the High Court, where the volume of cases remains considerable. It is humanly impossible, as we will all agree, to effectively manage this caseload through purely adversarial processes. It is therefore imperative that we strengthen, we re-engineer, and further institutionalize ADR mechanisms so that they meaningfully contribute to the realization of the judiciary's vision and mission. I wish us all fruitful deliberations as we examine and reflect on the findings of this report. I thank you all for your attention. My Lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice, allow me to make a few recognitions of the dignitaries in our midst. But before that, my Lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice, allow me to introduce you to the gathering. We have in our midst the Honorable the Chief Justice, Dr. Flavian Zeja. We have the Honorable Chief Justice Emeritus, Chigamoy Alphonse Owindolo. My Lord, thank you. We have in our midst the Honorable, the Deputy Chief Justice Emeritus, Honorable Justice Richard Butera. My Lord, thank you. We also have in our midst the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice Emeritus, Justice Stephen Kavuma. We are happy to have you. We have the Honorable, the Principal Judge, Lady Justice Jane Frances Abodo. My Lord, thank you. We have the Honorable, the Principal Judge Emeritus, Justice Yorokamba Mwine. My Lord, thank you. We have the Chair Governing Council present with us, Chair Governing Council, Judicial Training Institute, Justice Mike Chibita. My Lord, thank you. We have the Executive Director of JTI, Justice Kauka Andrew, present with us. Thank you. My Lord, allow me to return with more recognitions. Thank you very much.
My Lord, the Chief Justice, permit me to stand on the existing protocol as outlined by the Acting Chief Registrar. I'm not the Permanent Secretary. I'm basically delivering these remarks on his behalf. It's with greater honor and humility that I address this inaugural annual alternative dispute resolution performance review meeting, an initiative that advances both the timely delivery of justice and our shared stewardship of public resources. My Lord, allow me to express my profound gratitude to the Chief Justice Emeritus, Justice Chigamoy Alphonse Owindolo, for his visionary leadership in championing this innovation. At your sharing ceremony, you pledged to strengthen ADR across the continent through the establishment of a dedicated ADR Center for Africa. That bold commitment clearly demonstrates your unwavering belief in ADR as a cornerstone of accessible and equitable justice. I also wish to extend my special recognition to those whose efforts have brought us to this milestone, to our dedicated mediators and the ADR team, ably led by Justice Professor Andrew Kawuka. Thank you for your professionalism, tireless commitment, and the imperative results we gather today to review. I further acknowledge our valued funders, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and our development partners, and specifically IDLO and UNDP, for their generous support. I also extend my sincere appreciation to our partner institutions, civil society organizations, legal aid clinics, especially Law Development Center, as well as all referral and outreach partners. Your collaboration has been indispensable in expanding ADR and its impact. I thank you all. Today's review is a reaffirmation of our collective effort to position ADR as efficient, human, fair, and inclusive alternative to conventional litigation. My Lord, this first year has vividly demonstrated ADR's potential to resolve disputes swiftly, cost-effectively, and with dignity for all parties. With targeted enhancements, sustained collaboration, and disciplined implementation, we can unlock its full potential as a reliable pillar of justice in Uganda. At its core, ADR is more than speed. It's about delivering justice with fairness, respect, and genuine accessibility, especially to those who might otherwise be excluded from the formal process. This maiden annual review offers a pivotal platform to sharpen that focus through a candid reflection, innovative proposals, and the collaborative spirit that has always characterized our work. My Lord, meaningful progress demands action beyond this gathering. As accounting officer for the judiciary, I commit to mobilize the necessary resources to translate today's recommendations and actions into measurable results. In conclusion, the ADR initiative has already delivered encouraging results. Our shared responsibility now is to safeguard and build on these achievements through prudence, financial management, strong accountability, data-driven decision-making, and unwavering dedication to keeping ADR accessible, effective, and trusted by all Ugandans. I thank you all for your kind attention. Signed by Dr. Pius Bigimana, Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Judiciary.
Thank you so much for delivering those remarks from the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Judiciary. My Lord Chief Justice, we have more dignitaries that we would love to recognize from the Interreligious Council. They are seated right on my left. I will request that they stand up for recognition, and at an appropriate time we shall mention their names. But they are here to witness this wonderful occasion. We have equally other members from prisons. They are also seated this other end. I will request that they also stand up for recognition. Thank you so much. We have other members from the development partners and mediators are also seated this side. I will request that you stand up for recognition. Thank you so much. My Lord Chair, Chief Justice, we are moving into the next segment, which will be a session to be chaired by the Honorable the Principal Judge. But as we proceed to make arrangements for that purpose, allow me to say that I've been asked to convey congratulations from all walks of life for your ascension to the office of Chief Justice, my Lord. Let us give my Lord Chief Justice a mighty clap. They have also asked me to convey heartfelt thanks for the unwavering efforts of the Chief Justice Emeritus, my Lord Chief Justice Owinyi Dolo. You are most welcome, and thank you for the efforts that you have pressed at the judiciary. And in the same vein, they asked me to convey heartfelt appreciation to Deputy Chief Justice Emeritus Justice Richard Ebutera. And they have asked me to further say they wish you well in that other noble assignment that has seen you recognized at that international level. At the same vein, they have asked me to, again, welcome and also appreciate the unwavering time we always have with the DCJ Emeritus Stephen Kapma. My Lord, you're always with us. Thank you so much for always being here with us. And equally asked me to convey this appreciation to Principal Judge Emeritus, my Lord Yorokamba Mwine. You know, these names are household names within the judiciary that anyone who even passes around the fences, the names will continue echoing, and we must say thank you so much, and giving us this precious time, always to be around for these judiciary functions. Your immense wisdom and continuous mentoring of us really counts a lot. My Lord, it is with great pleasure that I also thank all the justices and judges of the High Court who are here present for coming and leaving their very busy tables to be here at this function as we look at the annual ADR performance review. You know very well, my Lord, that our resolve is to ensure that alternative dispute resolution is part and parcel of our court work. Little were we now giving attention to ADR mechanisms, but here we are. And as you notice, we know so well that ADR and particularly AJS are the way to go in this wonderful era of administration of justice. As the teams get ready, I want to say thank you so much, and let me request the DJ to give us a simple interlude of music, and then we'll return for the next session. Thank you.
In order to redeem time, we have lost about 40 minutes. Today, to present the theme of this first annual ADR performance review meeting is ADR as a cornerstone of effective and efficient justice delivery. I want us to welcome Focal Judge in charge of ADR and your team, to our Honorable Justice Professor Andrew Kahwa, to give us the performance. How did we perform in 2025? And then we shall, I think after that presentation, depending on how long it will take,
we should be able to take a short break, a health break, then we come back for plenary. But if the report is short, then we can also under plenary, then do a short health break. My Lord, Honorable Justice Professor Andrew Kauka, please take the stage and give us the report.
My Lord, the CJ Emeritus, kindly allow me to stand on the protocol that was led by my sister, the Chief Registrar. My Lord CJ, I'm sure if we had consulted CJ Emeritus on the wording of this performance report, the wording would have been different. He normally says it is Africa dispute resolution, not alternative dispute resolution. And the reason he says so is that before the advent of colonialism, what is being called alternative was the thing. My Lord CJ, for me, I will not be presenting the report, so to say. The report will be presented by the ADR team and the JTI team that did the work. I'll just do appreciations and highlight a few things. My Lord, I want to thank the Honorable, the CJ Emeritus and the Judiciary Top Management. And when I talk about the Judiciary Top Management, I refer to the top management under the leadership of CJ Emeritus. And my Lord, for purposes of protocol, my Lord CJ, I will begin by appreciating you. I will appreciate my Lord CJ Emeritus, my Lord DCJ Emeritus, my Lord DCJ Emeritus. I don't know where that exists. You know, CJ is DCJ Emeritus. But we also have Justice Butera, who is also DCJ Emeritus. So DCJ Emeritus, for purposes of my address, refers to Justice Butera. So I want to thank you, my Lord. My Lord, retired Principal Judge, Justice Yorokamba Mwine, we want to thank you, and I'll say the reason why. At the retirement of DCJ Emeritus, Justice Butera, he was appointed by the CJ Emeritus to lead the faculty on ADR at the JTI. What is going to be shared today? The contribution played by his faculty in influencing performance is high, and that's why we are appreciating the DCJ Emeritus, PJ Emeritus, Solicitor General Emeritus, that is Mr. Francis Atoke, Senior Counsel Francis Gimara, President Law Emeritus, Justice David Wangutusi. That is the faculty that has been conducting nationwide programs to ensure that we achieve the capacity building that we need to be able to entrench ADR. Again, my Lord CJ, I think it was sometime last year, you, my Lord CJ, and my Lord CJ Emeritus commissioned the Interreligious Council of Uganda, after training them at the JTI, to go and support in concluding one of the cases in the cultural institutions. And again, because of the kind of leadership you offered, a report was sent indicating that 70 or 80% of progress is being made in that direction. And I would request my Lord CJ, if you don't mind, for you to lead the clapping for members of the Interreligious Council. My Lord CJ, in the year 2025, ADR has proved itself to be an indispensable tool of justice delivery. Through court-annexed mediation alone, we disposed of 5,246 cases. Now, when you compare this to the cases that were disposed in that year, you may think it is a small number. You may think it is a small number, because the disposal was about 139. So in terms of percentages, it's split about 4%. But remember, this 4%, much as it appears to be low, these are matters that have been brought to full closure. My Lord CJ Emeritus, I think it is you who one time said that courts decide cases. They never resolve them. And I think you say that's why we have court decisions. Rarely do we use the phrase court resolutions. So the 5,246 have been fully resolved. The 130,000 have been decided. And so the likelihood of these coming to the Supreme Court after going to the whichever court level will go up to the end, and they will cost a bit of money. My Lord, I will just highlight something, and then the team will come to present the report. There is a dispute that had taken 50 years in the Patong Court. It began in Gulu. Eventually, when Patong was designated at a high court circuit, it went there. It had spent 50 years. Last year, in one of the fortnights that we conducted, the 50-year dispute was resolved. And I think we have the road of Patong who resolved that case. I don't know whether he's here. My Lord CJ, on the 14th of January, when you returned from Germany, CJ Emeritus, you came to the Supreme Court here on the 14th and mediated and closed the dispute that had been in the courts for over 23 years. This is a dispute involving the Muhammadi Buule Kasasa and the Kingdom of Buganda. It is a dispute where you had about over 600 families in Mutungo Hoyle involved. It is estimated approximately at 1.3 trillion, that dispute that you mediated. It has been brought to full closure. It has been resolved. And this was at the Supreme Court. This was at the Supreme Court. I think, my Lord CJ, you will agree. And again, this CJ Emeritus has encountered this wherever we have gone to do trainings. They say, what business do I have to mediate when I have a judgment? And my Lord CJ, you've been answering those questions very well. So, at the Supreme Court, where this matter was, that had been the system for more than 2 decades, it was concluded through mediation. My Lord CJ, I want to appreciate the team that does this work. For me, I just come here and just talk, but there are the people who do the work. Where is the Her Worship Lilian Buchana and the JTI team? My Lord CJ, those are the people that support the ADR faculty team that is led by Justice Richard Butea to deliver these nationwide trainings. My Lord CJ, we have the ADR registry team that are responsible for conducting and managing, coordinating the national ADR registry. I can see how Worship Justin, how his Worship Ruboa, his Worship Wambale. This is the team that does the work. My Lord CJ, I have saved the Chair Governing Council to come last. My Lord CJ, my Lord Chair Governing Council, if you don't mind, you could stand up and we clap for you. Whatever things we do at the JTI, he gives policy direction. And so we appreciate you for the leadership that you give. Lord Chair, I will invite through you His Worship Wambale to come and in a few minutes highlight mediation, and then perhaps after his presentation he will guide us on whether we do break tea and come back for AJS and plea bargaining. Thank you so much, my Lord CJ. Yes.
Thank you, my Lord, the focal judge. My Lord, the Chief Justice, my Lords, your worships. I hope the team, Tony, you ready? Okay. Next. Get the next slide. Slide number 5. All right. So I'm here to present, my Lords, to you the quarter next mediation performance for the year 2025. This being our first annual performance review, we had 16,800 cases presented or referred for mediation, of which the fully settled cases were 5,246. Others were partial, around 4,000 or thereabout. 6,000 or 37% of those cases failed to take off. Now, this is against the background of a high case load, which the Chief Registrar has had the pleasure of highlighting, as yesterday she was here opening or launching the National Court Case Census. And we also know that there's a need for efficiency in our courts. We have resource constraints, and yet we also require participatory justice to meet the judiciary's vision of justice for all. My Lord, these 5,246 cases as highlighted are not just the normal scope as my Lord has highlighted. In Mutungo, for instance, on 640 acres, I believe there are people inside this room who might have land or interests on Mutungo Hill in the late Mohamed Wule Kasasa's estate. This 1.3 trillion tract of land has been a subject of dispute or litigation from 1972 actually. The late Dr. Mohamed Wule Kasasa was the doctor to the Kabaka of Uganda then, Sekabaka Daudi Mutesa II. And the man was so frustrated that he actually went back to law school. The medical doctor completed law school, enrolled, fought his own case until his unfortunate death, and the case wasn't resolved until just last month when the Chief Justice Emeritus was able to sit down the parties and try to get to some resolution of some sort. But this is bringing clarity to the economy, releasing at least a tract of land worth 1.3 trillion, and also giving some clarity to thousands of families living on that hill. 640 acres is about 7,000, 1 square mile, yes, about 7,000 plots of land if we went by our normal 50 by 100. So my lords, you can see the impact of your efforts, the impact of what it means to refer cases to mediation. You're not just pushing aside justice, you actually, even in line with the agency that you're going to start attending on Monday, acting to your wellness. A dispute that takes 23 years shouldn't be is complex. We are stressed out, we have deadlines, the quarterly performance review meetings are tense, yet you have a tool such as mediation to help you with that. Now, my lords, you know the situation analysis. I won't repeat that. And also, I know for a fact that our referral rate, when you come, can I get the next slide, please? Yes, our referral rates are still woefully low. We do not have very good referral mechanisms at all court levels. Definitely, the Supremes and the appellates have a different appreciation, even both the litigants and our justices for mediation because of the nature of their cases. But as we can see, at the appellate level, on the Supreme Court level, we had one case worth 1.3 trillion settled out of 9 referred. One, I think, was, so that left us to, one was partial, it was ongoing, and that left us with 7 not having taken off fully. It is commendable that the Supremes did this because they provide leadership to us or to the rest of us, and we follow. When we look at the Court of Appeal, which should be the next slide, the Court of Appeal has a high referral rate, around 7%. Again, for an appellate court, that's commendable, and that's down to the leadership of the former DCJ, who is now CJ, and the DCJ before that, the Honorable Justice Richard Utera, who are all proponents and active participants in mediation and any alternative dispute resolution mechanism. We had around 78 cases settled at that level out of around 400 referred. We had commendable progress at the court divisions and high court circuits. When we're doing this analysis, my lords, you'd see some circuits really performing very well in terms of percentage terms. I think at one point Moroto had 66.6% fully settled, but they had settled 6 out of 9 cases referred. So there's a big difference in appreciation, but certainly it's a commendable effort if you can settle 66.6%. The industrial court settled 46.7%, which was 209 of around 448 referred cases. That 46.7% is truly commendable. Now, we have an emerging stellar performer at the family division. And for those of us who are resident at the commercial court, we're a bit wary of those people now because the family division settled 193 cases fully, which was 16.1%. In the report that we're going to present to you, hard copy and soft copy, which we shall avail on the website, you will see this analysis case by case. Again, forgive us if there are some mistakes here and there because we relied only on the tools of data collection and analysis within the judiciary. That's CAS, ICMIS, and a few manual registers where courts don't have the tool. However, my lords, the champion or the originator of mediation in Uganda is again the commercial court. And the commercial court, my lords, in absolute terms, referred 1,193 cases to mediation. And their completion rate was 14.1%. They did 160 something. About 160 cases were completed by the commercial court. These are complex disputes, and again, just like the one completed by the Chief Justice Emeritus, there are cases which have a huge knock-on impact in whole of society. We have land division being a bit stagnant for one reason or the other. Maybe the word is harsh, but we thought it is civil division rather. We thought there must be further deployment because land division performed really well. It should be number 4 according to our analysis. Civil division needs help with the number of mediators, my Lord Andrew. You need to note that. When we went to circuits, we were very impressed with circuits at Gulu, Lira. There was commendable effort from Masaka. Masaka again had a high completion rate, but a very low referral rate, according to our statistics. Their statistics could read different, but we used the judiciary's data collection tools to analyze this. Again, my lords and your worships, we need you to take charge of your data. If the data is not clean, we shall come here and criticize you for nothing and ostracize you when actually you're doing real work. Please do that for us, and we shall help you in all ways as the registry to enable the release of tools that can help you collect this data. So my lords, we have, there are 4. Rukunjiri, Bushenyi, those who are doing well, can see civil with a referral rate of 9.0, family 14.8 referral rate, 191 completed, and a few other outliers, my lords. We have, in the Chief Magistrates Courts, we had a completion rate of 42.0% of the cases referred to mediation. And again, these are the Chief Magistrates that have impressed. Chief Magisterials include Magistrates Grade 1. 42.0%, we had stellar performances from Wobulenzi, which completed 109. We had Mengo and Makindye, which are all above 120. And we think that going forward, the Honorable, the Chief Justice, and the Honorable, the Principal Judge, will help us probably as a result of the next week's meeting, maybe help us retool the attitude and posture of judicial officers in terms of, Justice Andrew keeps calling it judicial patriotism. If we had, for instance, every judicial officer in the country saying, I must at least complete 1 case by mediation per week, we would have much more time to go to the judge's common room and other places to take our tea without stress and even enjoy the use of the gym. So we know that going forward, my lords, mediation has taken off, it has taken root. This first of its kind report is going, unfortunately I couldn't give you all the slides because you're going to have a better, much more enjoyable read in the report. We believe that you're going to take a keen look at it, give us your feedback, give us your criticisms, and give us where, with the brain bank that you are, new ways and approaches that the registry could help you. With that, my lords, I pray that this year, mediation takes root as a key ADR mechanism. If we could only double our referral rate from the low 10s to around, for instance, if it was civil 28% to 30%, there would be some. If we could hit also our full settlements to around 10,000, would be doing a lot of commendable work for us as Ugandans. Allow me to speak to the trainings by the JTI. I believe Her Worship Lillian will talk in depth, but all this that we are seeing was enabled by 12 trainings, those were in-house, which delivered 655 participants in ADR mechanisms. There was case management. We moved around the country with the faculty teams, and the participants were 655. Online virtual trainings were 811 participants. So in total, the JTI was able to deliver to us at least an ecosystem of 1,500 people well-versed in ADR mechanisms in just under 8 months. So we believe that with more focused trainings and our change in attitudes as judicial officers and creating a bigger ecosystem, because sometimes I think we think alternative means substitute to instead of complement to. It's actually a complement to us. I will talk about AJS, the Alternative Justice Systems, which is also a part of mediation. We were fortunate enough to be with the Honorable, the Chief Justice Emeritus, to launch the pilot in Gulu. certainly because of the acceptability of traditional justice mechanisms in Gulu and Lango, we had a high turnout. Again, Rod Casemiro should be around. Are you around? Yes, Rod Casemiro of Care Carl Patongo. So that one doesn't stand for anyone in this room because roads don't stand. So Rod Casemiro completed a case in Palchira. Yes, in Palchira village or something like that, which had taken two families 54 years from 1971, involving 500 acres. And in one settlement week, he reported to us, we were together with Justice Andrew and my boss, Her Worship at Kwasa, and said he had settled it, the parties had agreed, the families were together, and everything was sorted as a result of mediation. So, I thank you so much, my Lord the Chief Justice, my Lords and Worships, for listening to me. Please internalize whatever I give you later today. I know our time is well spent. I thank you for listening to me.
I pick out about 3 things or 4 that mediation can do for us. As mediation delivers faster and more affordable justice, less emotional strain that it comes out from his presentation. Clearly, the case which was settled by Ladit, CJ Emeritus, which had taken 23 years in the system, the one settled by Roth, 54 years. And secondly, mediation preserves relationships and promotes durable outcomes. My Lord, Professor Andrew, you said Chief Justice Emeritus Ladit Owindolo says that the courts, we do what? Decide. We decide, but we don't resolve. So that is it, durable outcomes. Mediation also strengthens the court system, and we see that there is a low referrals, and that is where we should now put our focus. Why do we have low referrals? And I think we all agree mediation works. It works. We have stellar performances from the industrial court, from the family division and others, so we know that it works. And also from your presentation with the performance of the Court of Appeal, which was under the leadership of DCJ Emeritus, Justice Butera, and DCJ, now CJ, it takes judicial leadership for mediation to work. And data is also very important because then it helps us make proper decisions. And finally, of course, trainings, that's a given. So we need to continue the training. So, Your Worship, thank you so much. And I am thinking that we need to get our sugar levels up a little bit. And we go for a 30 minutes break, stretch a little bit, and then come back for AJS plea bargaining, and then plenary. Thank you so much. Thank you. I was just thanking IDLO for their support in the trainings that have happened across for plea bargaining, for mediation across the judiciary. We want to thank you. And I know that this support, you're actually giving it 360 because you're giving the support to also the office of the DPP. You're also working with police and prisons. So it is the whole chain, which we are very happy for that. Now we are going to, I think Chief Justice will join us shortly, but we can start. Justine, our Worship Justine, is the in charge of ADR registry in the judiciary. Justine, Your Worship Justine, you're most welcome. So give us your presentation in plea bargaining. Thank you.
Thank you, my Lord PJ Chair. My Lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice, my Lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice Emeritus, our distinguished guests. what we are talking about, or what we are here to talk about today, is not new to all of us. My Lord CJ, in 2014, the judiciary embarked on the journey to improve criminal justice in the judiciary. And my Lord, the judiciary found it fit in 2014 to embark on the journey to plea bargaining. In 2016, my Lord, the plea bargaining rules were put in place. And my Lord, before the slides allow me to read the plea bargaining the objectives of the plea bargaining rules of 2016 for reminder, so that we can see the journey we have moved, we see how we are going about it and where we are going and how we want to go there. My Lord, the first objective of the plea bargaining rules 2016 was to enhance the efficiency of the criminal justice system for the orderly, predictable, uniform, consistent, and a timely resolution of criminal disputes. And we want to examine whether we are really achieving those tenets in that objective. My Lord, the second objective was to enable the accused and the prosecution, in consultation with the victim, to reach an amicable agreement on an appropriate punishment. And my Lord, we want to see whether plea bargaining is achieving that. My Lord, the third objective was to facilitate the reduction of in-case backlog and prison congestion. My Lord, we want to examine whether in the year 2025 plea bargaining helped us achieve any of the objectives above. To provide quick relief from the anxiety of criminal prosecution. And the anxiety comes when the trials take very long. So we want to see, does plea bargain help us achieve this objective? My Lord, the other was to encourage the accused person to own up on the criminal responsibility. We will see how this 2025 has helped us achieve that objective. And to involve the victim in adjudication. As we do this analysis, my Lord, we would want to see what is the situation of a criminal justice in the judiciary as of December 2025. My Lord, I was saying that as of December 2025, the criminal caseload in the judiciary was at 48,690 cases. My Lord, if these cases were to be disposed of in the normal adversarial system, the judiciary would require 494 criminal sessions, my Lord. And my Lord, this would be at a cost of each session approximately out of station 60 million, and this would translate into a cost of 30 billion, my Lord. And we want to examine whether we have those finances. Do we have those finances to deal with that backlog? Well, I may not be qualified to talk about finances, but even if we had the finances and we dealt with the backlog, it wouldn't mean that we don't have more work. Work would still proceed probably on appeal, and which is not the case with plea bargaining. My Lord, the judiciary normally organizes about 150 criminal cases per year. Therefore, this workload would require 3 years to be able to complete this or to deal with this workload. My Lord, as you will see, plea bargaining in 2025 helped the judiciary dispose of 3,000 cases. This was through 12 plea bargaining sessions that was across the circuits that did not have our direct involvement, and through 14 camps. My Lord, by camps I mean the registry of ADR supports the courts to go to the prisons and handle criminal cases in the prisons. When we go to the prisons, we set up the chambers for the judges and the judicial officers of the lower bench, and then we proceed within the prisons. And so we did 14 camps in 2025 that helped us dispose of the 3,000 criminal cases, my Lord. My Lord, this was at a cost, the 3,000, if we cost, comparing to the adversarial system of a cost of 1 million per case in a session, the plea bargaining cost per case comes down to 500,000, because the total cost of the 3,000 was 1.5 billion, 60 million shillings. So if we calculated we got 500,000 per case in a plea bargaining system. My Lord, the 500,000 also to note is not just the entire cost for handling a matter. It involves a lot. If I break it down, 500,000 involves, if we go for camps, it involves the cost of the allowances for the judicial officers, the cost of the state attorneys, the cost of the defense lawyers, the cost of welfare, the cost of setting up the chambers, and other logistics. So it is really far less, like far less half the cost of the normal 1 million in an adversarial criminal session system. And therefore, my Lord, we want to say that plea bargaining is something that we cannot do away with, but we have to strengthen it and support it afresh so that we can deal with the criminal caseload. My Lord, one more important thing to note about the cases that we completed, the 3,000, is that they are completed finality. What do I mean by finality? My Lord, these cases rarely or do not go for appeal at all. My Lord, I say this because in the last year, from 2016 to last year, only 102 cases went on appeal in the Court of Appeal from 2016 to 2025. And in the year 2025, there was no single appeal from plea bargaining. So, my Lord, that means the cost of a plea bargaining case literally ends at the High Court level. And I think that saves a lot of cost to the judiciary and the government as a whole. My Lord, when we come to the impact of plea bargaining on caseload or case backlog, I'm sorry now, when I was disorganized with the slides, I decided to run at my own pace without looking there, but I can now follow through. Before that slide of the prison discongestion. Yeah, this is where I was, my Lord. So we can go the next slide. My Lord, the other impact of plea bargaining, it goes beyond just the courtrooms. It goes beyond just our handling of cases. It goes now to prison decongestion, my Lord. My Lord, you realize that in Uganda, the prison capacity is far beyond the acceptable. As of 2025, November, from the National Prisons, as of December 2025, the prison's capacity was at 23,184, and the occupancy rates, we sampled some courts. The occupancy rates, for example, for Masaka, were at 598%. It means they were 5 times higher, the normal occupancy rate. My Lord, if we go by the international standards of 1 square meter per inmate, 4 square meters per inmate, ours, 4 inmates occupy 1 square meter. And my Lord, that affects, it strains the welfare, security, and also affects human dignity, my Lord. And also puts pressure on the capacity of prisons, on the staff. It's quite appalling. Sometimes when we don't go into the details of these things, we may not realize the impact. My Lord, as you continue to see, you will realize that plea bargaining, in 2025, for once, the conviction rate is way above the remand rate. Ordinarily, for the before days, the remand rate was always higher than the conviction rate. But as of November 2025, the remand rate, conviction rates were 53.2%, and the remand rate was at 45%. If we had a graph, you would see that the backlog in criminal cases through plea bargaining for the last 5 years is downward going. It is not going up. We are achieving. My Lord, during the plea bargaining handling of plea bargaining cases in prisons, we found out that most of the, and as we all know, most of the prisoners have long stayed on remand before their trials, about 3 to 6 years or even beyond, my lord. Now, in a year, my lord, it would cost the state, 25 million to take care of each prisoner. And the prisons are here, they can correct me if I am wrong. I think that is a very correct statistic. It takes 25 million for the state to look after a prisoner, one single. And what does that mean? It means that plea bargaining by disposal of cases through bargaining, my lord, we have saved, just a moment for me. I don't see that on the slides and I need to emphasize on it. Yeah, by resolving 3,000 cases, my lord, plea bargaining generated an estimated saving. And this saving is really through plea bargaining. We have not seen any saving through the adversarial system. We only spend. It saved the government and the state of 69 billion in remand-related costs, my lord. And I think that is a very big tick. Additional benefit through plea bargaining is restoration of certainty, and this was one of the objectives in the plea bargaining rules. The suspects, once they express interest and their agreements have been reached out with the prosecution, they are certain that their matters are going to be completed. And they are also certain that they are not going to be followed up again at appeal levels. My lord, that I had talked about that earlier. Finality, no appeals. We had gone over that. You can proceed. My lord, before we go to the challenges, let us see the benefits of plea bargaining. Plea bargaining is very cost effective, my lord, as we said earlier. Plea bargaining delivers timely justice. When we go to the camps, my lord, and the Honorable PJ can testify, a judge is capable of completing 12, 13, sometimes, if possible, 15 cases in about 5 hours, because all the stakeholders are in one place, the agreements are done, and the judicial officer is available to preside over and they give leadership. The matters are completed, many in one day, which is very rare. Even if you are to do a hearing, to do hearings in the normal criminal sessions, you wouldn't complete 5 cases in a day. And ordinarily we go, or normally we go like 4 or 5 judicial officers, meaning in one day we are capable of completing 68 or 70 cases. My lord, the other benefit of plea bargaining is that there is no retribution. It restores peace, it restores harmony, and the suspects own the punishment, and they go satisfied. My lord, the other benefit is that the victims also participate in their matters, and most times they are compensated. They express their emotions. So it is justice beyond a punishment or a conviction. It is justice that restores relations and restores peace and harmony. And those are priceless things to look at. As earlier said by the speakers, courts decide matters they don't resolve, but plea bargain resolves matters. My lord, even when we have walked this journey of plea bargaining for almost 10 years now, we still find some challenges. The judiciary still finds some challenges in dealing with these matters. My lord, the procedure integrity. What do we mean by this? My lord, we have observed, and I stand to be corrected by their lordships and their worships, that sometimes pleas of guilty are taken as plea bargains, and vice versa. plea bargains are also taken as pleas of guilty. And my Lord, if we are to go into the rules, that affects the integrity of case management. My Lord, the challenge of inconsistency or lack of uniformity is also not helping us achieve the objectives of the rules. We once went into a camp and the inmates were all running to one judicial officer and running away from the other. Why? Because they think the other one is lenient, this one is harsh. And so that creates uncertainty amongst the suspects. My Lord, victim expectations versus the law. Sometimes the victims know that once it is a plea bargaining, or I need to get out of this is a compensation. They don't look beyond that. And if they don't get the compensation, they say, I am not for that. And yet that is not the objective of the rules of plea bargaining. My Lord, the other challenge is that the suspects use the plea bargaining mechanism to delay trials in some cases because they know that there is a rule that once the bargain fails, the file should go to another trial judicial officer. So they know how to trick. They go to this judicial officer and bargain. Halfway they say, no, I'm out of this bargain. The file goes to another judicial officer. And then it can go on if it is not checked or if we do not put our attention to it. My Lord, we can look at many more challenges, but the beauty is that plea bargaining is here to help us deal with the criminal caseload, and we should embrace it. My Lord, I would interest you into something. We have about 700 judicial officers. If we do less Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, and we stay with High Court, about 650 judicial officers, including the lower courts. If all of us said that in a month I would handle one case in plea bargaining, it would translate in almost 7,000 plus cases in a year. And I don't know whether we can do that to give back to society, or at least to help ourselves reduce on the workload. My Lord, I'm convinced that plea bargaining also really helps us improve our judicial wellness, because the quickness, the cost efficiency can speak to our judicial wellness. My Lord, I forgot to say something about the prison congestion, and you will allow me to do so, my Lord. When I was in MPG, the prisons were congested, and I almost had a strike. Why? Because as judiciary, we can have so many files, and they are silent, and they are not speaking. But the prisons are always under pressure, because the humans in the prison, the human beings will speak. So I almost had a strike. And my Lord CJ, I would like to thank you for having had our plea, and you added us a second judge. You added us a second judge. When you added us a second judge, my Lord, the workload went really down. If you hadn't done that, probably you would have seen the inmates come to High Court. My Lord CJ, you allow me, I will not speak to the funding, my Lord. We are not asking for money here, my Lord. We are only asking for the goodwill of the top management support. We are asking for the goodwill and the attitude change of the judicial officers and all stakeholders, so that we go back, my Lord, and double our effort. We believe that if we are supported in the coming year, we would come here with double the cases that we have delivered in 2025. And my Lord, with that, allow me to say thank you for giving me an opportunity to stand before you. Thank you, my Lord.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Your Worship. Justine, can we give her another unclap, please? Thank you. Our Worship, Justine, is almost like a month there, 2 months in the docket. but she's talking like she has already been there for very long. So thank you. You have grasped what you're supposed to do. So you're the right person in that docket. Yes, please give her a clap. Yes, thank you so much. I think what I can just summarize from what our worship has given us is that justice is not measured by the length of the trial, but by the fairness and the certainty. And this one plea bargain gives it. So we are on the right track. And prisons are here. They were nodding when Justine was giving the figures that for the first time in the history of Uganda, we have more convicts than remands, and that's what we want. So thank you so much. Let us have the last presentation on this. AJS. Who is going to present on this, please? Please. Yes, Your Worship, yes. Please come and take us through AJS.
My Lord, the presentation I'm making is about alternative justice systems. The first question we ask ourselves, what is alternative justice systems? The professor has already given us a clue that actually, instead of talking about alternative justice system, we should talk about African justice system. My Lord, allow me adopt this, and we understand AJS in terms of what we have organically from around here. I must emphasize that much as we are talking about the African justice systems, these are not static structures. We are talking about dynamic structures. Some are decaying, while others are coming up. So our understanding is that we are talking about those systems which are helping us resolve disputes outside the formal system. The second point I want to make, Your Lordships, is that when we talk about AGS, we're actually talking about the realities as we face them. One, it is founded in the Constitution, Article 126, variously. 2D is certainly one of the articles that provide for promotion of mediation or alternative justice administration. But the key point is that more than 80% of the disputes we have as a country actually don't come to the formal system. When we debate case backlog and all those issues, we're actually talking about less than 10%. Actually, because of backlog, we end up focusing on 5%. So the question is, where do people go? Maybe this is a question that would be answered even here. When you have a dispute, do you go to police? Do you go to church? Where do we go? And I think this is the genesis of alternative justice systems as we understand it in this context. We need to understand that the judiciary came up with a framework in 2023, and it's important to understand the purpose, the objectives of this framework. One is to enhance access to justice for all. That is the very, very first point. It's not just fashion. We are targeting ensuring that everybody has access to justice. The second point is supporting traditional approaches and institutions. And here we also talk about churches, mosques, and other institutions which are assisting us in settling these cases. The third point is to localize justice from the foreign concepts we always talk about to what we understand. Some people have talked about Ubuntu, my Lord, but I think the essence is that whatever we are doing as justice delivery, we actually talking about something which people understand. Then the last and most critical point is that we need to preserve critical relationships. Many times when we handle cases in courts, we never preserve the relationships. So because of that, we believe that probably AJS can be not a substitute, but a strong complement to justice delivery. Yes, please. So, having given that background, in June last year, Honorable Chief Justice, a meeting of stakeholders was held. It was actually a conference at Munyonyo. And the very findings which I've tried to explain were discussed in that meeting. And the question was, what do we do about this? We were lucky. We had Justice Professor Joel Ngugi from Kenya, who shared the experience of Kenya, because for them, they've moved a bit ahead in formalizing alternative justice administration. The first caution was that we should allow civic autonomy and voluntary choice. People must be allowed to choose the forum. Certainly the risk is forum shopping, because someone will say, no, I don't want to go to so and so, let me go to another, and probably the other one may say, no, I'm not interested. But these are risks which we can manage. The second point was that we may not have a blanket description of cases that are suitable for alternative justice distribution, that it should always be a case-by-case analysis. 3, courts need to play very strong facilitative roles. So when we have AGS, it does not necessarily mean that our hands are off. We need to work close with the various systems which are providing alternative justice. Then, of course, the other caution was, because the issue would be, why don't we formalize this? What can we do? Now, when we do that, we are going to be losing out. So we need to be a bit cautious as we are formalizing these alternative or African justice systems. Yes, please. My Lord. Yes. So one of the resolutions of Munyonyo was to start piloting AGS. And my Lord, Chief Justice Emeritus, you actually led this process. And on the 17th of December, 2025, you launched the pilot in Acholi and Lango sub-regions. And the reason why Lango and Acholi were selected, it's because of the robust, widespread, accepted traditional justice systems. So the system is already there and functioning. 2, we had strong cultural leadership. These structures were already in place. So my Lord, it was only natural to use these structures to ensure that we kickstart this process. We already know Matoput, which sometimes is erroneously described as a court. I think Matoput is not a court, but a restorative mechanism. it is supposed to mend, it's supposed to be apologizing. We've really heard a lot about Matoput. So that is actually about healing. What were the objectives for the pilot? The first objective was to build capacity of cultural, religious, and political leaders, because these are the pillars of AJS. Then to foster formal, informal justice system collaboration. The two systems are not working independently. The two systems are supposed to work together, and this is very critical. My Lord, there are concerns about AGS. One of them is fairness, accountability, and also observing human rights. There was a study long ago in 1986 conducted by Kadiagara, and she was looking at LOC courts, and she found that the women were being mistreated in those courts, at least during that time. So one of the issues that we must always have our eyes on is to ensure that the constitutional guarantees are observed: fair hearing, accountability, consistency. Certainly each case is different, but people need to understand that at least when you go before a particular forum, there is some level of consistency that you are going to experience. Two, we do all this within the framework of limited resources. As my sister has explained, we don't really have the resources to handle the cases. So the question would be, economically, how cost effective can we use the resources we have? And certainly, the easiest way is to support our stakeholders to share the burden. I'm happy our religious leaders are here. Maybe at an appropriate time, Your Lordship, they are going to be sharing their experiences. So what did we focus on? Already, the previous presenters have talked about the trainings that have taken place. I may not go into that. But the most important area are these frameworks and constitutional foundations that we should never compromise about. Fair trial, as I said, ensuring that everybody has a hearing and so on. Then fair and timely dispute resolution, because already that is the problem we are facing. So we would not expect the AGS to actually reproduce, probably multiply that same problem. Then most critically, documentation and accountability, because there is a lot of learning in this. So we need to dedicate our efforts to understanding what is taking place and probably drawing lessons. And this is a big task where almost all of us will be involved. We need academicians, and I think universities should really come on board on this to try and understand and come up with lessons that we could use to improve AJS. Then, of course, the question of collaboration with formal justice institutions. This is very critical. As my Lord, I have mentioned, this is not, we are not getting our hands off these institutions. Finally, we are now talking about recommendations. One, we need to review the current ADR legal framework for gaps. Now I'm being general. It's not only about AGS, but the general policy recommendations. Then we need to finalize the judicature court annex mediation rules, which, my Lord, are in the final stages. Then mandating training. We need at least a minimum of 40 hours to ensure that the people who go through the training process actually are not half-baked. We need to have people who are skilled in order to ensure that they perform better. Of course, mandatory referrals is something which we need to discuss about. Some people are saying probably we need to amend the law to make it mandatory, but certainly this is subject to the discussions and the determination of your lordship. We need to implement the framework that was set up by the judiciary by scaling up AGS committees at all high courts, high court circuits. We need to have these committees because currently we are in Lango and Acholi, but we need to have to spread them, to roll them out. Then we need registers because ever since it was launched, we don't know what is happening. So, but we need to support these practitioners to help us get a feedback about what is happening. My Lord, there are the issue of settlement weeks. We could have a month, a settlement month, biannually, but also quarterly settlement weeks. Since we are recognizing that this is an important area, my Lord, this is one of the proposals. The rollout, certainly, formally recognizing cultural, religious leaders, of course working together with courts. One of the areas which came out that is critical for ADR and the AGS is about land and communal conflicts. The view is that we could focus more on these kinds of conflicts to ensure that we get the gain. Then quickly, I want to talk about technology, where we can capture a lot of what is happening, and then the monitoring of the mediators, and where we initiate like settlement weeks or months, we need to have data which is immediately available to ensure that at least we can improve on our programs. I'm leaving out the funding bit, but I want to talk about staffing. Certainly, we need more personnel in the ADR registry. We need more mediators and ADR practitioners in general. We need to support AJS committee operations. They were set up, but we actually need to resource them and to support them variously. Another point, please. Outlook. How does 2026 look? One, we expect full operationalization of court annex mediation systems. My Lord, recognizing AGS as a primary justice forum, using ADR to divert civil, commercial disputes. The industrial court has already been recognized, but one of the best practices is ensuring that labor officers are actually taking up a lot of these cases. But this should take place at all levels. We need to mainstream people-centered justice, which is justice beyond the brick and mortar. And then the most important thing, my Lord, CJ Emeritus, the support of the African Chief Justice ADR Forum. I believe this is a very important forum for us to learn from other jurisdictions, but also to share with others, because what we are having is a lot, and for sure we must be generous enough to share with others. We need more mediators, so this accreditation is necessary, but we also need to assess the performance of our mediators. Excuse me? Yes. So the achievements have already been mentioned, so I don't need to repeat them. My Lord, I thank you so much for this opportunity to present our results. Thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Worship, Dr. Lubowa. That was very much to the point. Thank you, and of course, all the thanks go to the Chair, Governing Council. You have done a great job. Yes, the team is doing so well. I just want to make, okay, definitely from his presentation, I think we agree with Ladit, Chief Justice Emeritus, that the name should change, you know, because names, they shape legitimacy, you know, alternative justice system sounds almost secondary, you know, almost imported. So we should be thinking, and Chief Justice Emeritus Ladit Owendolo has been telling us that it should be African dispute resolution. We can start thinking about that, because alternative really doesn't go well, and we can either make it restorative justice system or Ubuntu justice system, something that really resonates with what it is. So thank you so much. Thank you, Chair, Governing Council. Thank you, my Lord, Professor Kauha. Your team has done so well. It all starts with leadership. So you are doing the right thing. I am very impressed with the three presenters. You know, they have been really to the point. Before we go to the next session, I think it would only be proper that we hear from Lillian. Lillian Buchana is the acting registrar in JTI. Thank you, I was about to say DPP, in JTI. Just like I'm always calling CJ that, PJ, then introducing myself as the DPP in charge of PJ, I don't know. So I think before Lillian comes in, I just want to make a few announcements, just 2 seconds, you can continue standing there. Accreditation instruments, for those whose instruments have expired, please don't leave without visiting the Secretariat. They are here with the instruments, they will give you. And for those that are trained and didn't get the instruments, we shall also, they are also ready. You should not leave without having them. His Worship Lubowa talked about the Judicature Court Annex mediation rules, the amendments. I think they're at the stage, they are now with AG, so very soon they'll be forwarded and we shall have them. So thank you so much. And also, when I was thanking Justine, I should have actually thanked first our Worship Nanteza Zuleika, Deputy Registrar in charge of ADR. Before, she was actually the first, and she did so much. I was still in DPP, but we were always meeting, and I saw her just blossoming in front of me like a butterfly, because every time I saw her, she was just on point. So she's really the mother of ADR, and we thank you for giving us that foundation. Thank you, Your Worship. I don't know whether she's here. She's right there, yes. Thank you so much, Your Worship. And now we can hear about the trainings that were really supported by IDLO. Thank you.
Thank you, my Lord PJ. My Lord, the Chief Justice, permit me to adopt the protocol that was laid by Her Worship, the Chief Registrar. I'm Lillian Buchana, Acting Registrar, Judicial Training Institute. Let me ask the ICT team to please reflect their presentation. Thank you. Let's go to slide 1. My Lords, the Judicial Training Institute is the training arm of the judiciary, established under Section 19 of the Administration of the Judiciary Act to provide continuous training to judicial officers, but also other actors in the justice sector as may be mandated by the Governing Council. Following the efforts to re-engineer ADR in case management initiatives, JTI was directed by the Chief Justice to ensure that all trainings have a component of ADR. We have seen that ADR is a key driver of access to justice from the presentations that my colleagues in the ADR registry have provided. Let's go to the next slide. We have a faculty of ADR headed by the Honorable, the Deputy Chief Justice Emeritus, Honorable Justice Richard Butera, and he's supported by other eminent judicial officers, retired, and legal practitioners in the private sector. Here I would like to recognize Honorable Justice Yorokamba Mwine, Principal Judge Emeritus, Honorable Justice David Wangotusi, retired Judge of the High Court, Honorable Francis Atoke, Solicitor General Emeritus, Mr. Francis Gimara, Team Leader, ALP Advocates. We also have additional faculty who mainly take us through ADR, the criminal component of the ADR. And we have Margaret Nachigude, Assistant DPP. I saw that team around. Ms. Lilian Nandaula, Senior State Attorney, and Sylvia Wakabala, and Private Advocate. This faculty, my Lord Chief Justice, has conducted nationwide trainings in ADR, both civil and criminal. The Judicial Training Institute has also trained AJS practitioners, including the Interreligious Council of Uganda, and AJS practitioners majorly from the northern region. We were with them for 2 days at Munyonyo in May last year, and we had quite engaging conversations. And many of the results that have been relayed by the ADR registry are a part of these training efforts that we have had. Those are members of the Interreligious Council of Uganda at the Judicial Training Institute. And my Lord ED, I saw a report from them on the efforts that have been made the progress that has been made towards resolving the Ikumbanya culture dispute. Quite interesting. ICT, let's move. I would like to break down the trainings that we have had, and this is in less than a year that we have been at the Judicial Training Institute. His Worship Wambale indicated that we had trained well over 1,800, both judicial and non-judicial officers. And so in Kampala, and some of the trainings are actually cost neutral. We have virtual trainings. Seeing from there, we had a virtual training for mediation in Kampala with 50 participants. In Jinja for 106 participants, in Kasese for 173 participants. We had trainings for court-accredited mediators, non-judicial. Eastern region, there were 88 physical at the Court of Appeal premises, and Western region, we had 82. I had already indicated we had trainings for AJS and faith-based actors. National AJS Summit attracted 59 participants, while the Interreligious Council of Uganda attracted 24 participants. This is one of the case management trainings we have had. My Lord Chief Justice, we have departed from training single clusters of judicial officers. In the past, we had chief magistrates train alone, grade ones train alone, and with the guidance of the governing council and top management, it was thought necessary that every actor trains together. Let's have judges, magistrates, let's have state attorneys, and private advocates in one room so that we speak one voice at the conclusion of each training. And that is why JTI has implemented your directives, my Lord Chief Justice. These are other training initiatives. This is Western Uganda case management initiatives for a training held in Barara. So the case management, there are trainings that are specific to mediation, but there are trainings that are case management, so they are broader. But in every case management initiative, we have embedded aspects of mediation and plea bargain. So the participants live with a full package. Thank you. Case management trainings, we had 75 in northern Uganda, 57 in western, and in eastern region, we had 63 judicial officers. As indicated, plea bargaining and mediation trainings are embedded in every case management training, and we have seen that they are effective tools of case disposal. We also have specialized trainings specific to civil procedure. And although the training may be broader, say we are training on amendments in the procedure, civil procedure rules, we make sure that those still have a component of mediation. And so in civil procedure trainings, we had 57 participants in central Uganda. We also have specialized criminal procedure trainings in which we embed plea bargain. Central region, we had 49 participants, both judges across the board. In Eastern, we had 69 participants. As indicated in my introduction, our focus is not only on judicial officers, we also go beyond and train other actors. For purposes of plea bargain, we had 2 virtual trainings for prisons officers. The initial training attracted 44 prison officers, and the follow-up training attracted 209 prison officers, and those were drawn from about 16 prison facilities, my Lord. We have also held pre-camp virtual trainings for Gulu and Lira, which attracted 142 participants, and we had another pre-camp virtual training for Masaka region, which attracted 87 participants. One may ask, why are you training prison officers? After all, they are not directly involved. They do not negotiate. They don't sit on the table with the judge at the final decision making. Why are you wasting resources on them? But we did realize that they are critical gatekeepers in the criminal justice system, that in fact, most inmates trust them more than they even trust the lawyers. And so we found it necessary that these gatekeepers receive training. They facilitate early identification of suitable cases for plea bargain. And most of the lists of those that are intending to plead, many of them actually originate from prison. And they wouldn't originate from there if the prison officers were not facilitating, especially if they have had candid conversations with those that they keep custody of. After those candid conversations, they advise them based on the skills that we have given them, and that's why we are seeing an uptake of plea bargains. They also support accused persons to make informed decisions, and all this has led to enhancement of timely case resolution and decongestion in prisons. Our efforts are aligned with the judiciary framework performance. We have seen from the statistics that has been laid before us by the ADR registry that there is an improvement in case clearance rates, a reduced case backlog through referrals. We have seen timely disposal of criminal and civil cases. And in general, we are continuing to see value for money where ADR is concerned. I would like to conclude by saying that JTI's ongoing investments in training has made a real difference to ADR outcomes, turning learning into measurable progress in the justice delivery. My Lord Chief Justice, we appreciate you for re-engineering ADR and supporting the JTI team in shaping those that deliver justice. I further extend my appreciation to the Honorable, the Principal Judge, the Permanent Secretary, the Chief Registrar, and the entire ADR faculty for the strides that we have made. I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Your Worship, Lillian Bushana. That was a snapshot of the trainings. You can see that quite some training has been done, but a lot still needs to be done. And I think the joint trainings are a game changer because it helps even in the plenary, you actually share experiences and enriches the AJS, ADR. We are now going into plenary. We have, it's midday. We are going to plenary. Any questions, any additions, subtractions, just put up your hand. Do we have microphones to go around? They're on the table. Sorry. Yes. So you just put up your hand, and I hope Professor is here to help me see the hands up.
Commend CJ Emeritus for commendable, for his illustrious career in the judiciary, and to also congratulate the CJ, Dr. Zeja, upon your elevation to the office of CJ. My observation or question is in respect of the conspicuous omission or vacation of the issue of funding by the presenters. And I thank you for the presentations. Obviously, that's not to discount your presentations. But I noticed that both presenters, the first and the second presenter, when they reached the issue of funding, they skipped it or they toned it down. But we know that one of the challenges that ADR has had is funding, especially for the mediators, that there has been little incentive for mediators to other than just doing it as a passion. One of the challenges that there has been is compensation, adequate compensation for the mediators, or just sufficient compensation to make them come to work and do it without going into their own pockets to fund the process. So I don't know whether it was why it was left out, but I would imagine that it should have been amplified instead of being skipped in the presentations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justice Richard Wawire, for bringing that up. I think it was deliberate that we do not bring in funding because this is something that the leadership is actually discussing on. So we thought that it could be more refreshing to just make a presentation without talking about lack of funds. That is something that we are working on, so it is not being skipped. It is actually at the forefront because then everything else falls and rises with the mostly funding. Yes, any other?
Mine is on formalization of alternative justice systems. I remember that in Munyonyo, Professor Ngugi advised that we should not over-formalize these systems. And yet we know that the courts must play a facilitative role. Now, for the courts to come in, there must certainly be some structures and maybe guidelines which they should follow. I don't know which path we are now following, whether we should formalize systems like Makuput and others, have guidelines and regulations, or we leave them to operate as they have been doing for years long. Which path are we taking? Maybe we may need to know exactly how we should go along those lines.
I want to thank the judiciary for the initiatives that are helping us deliver justice and improve our prison work. The alternative or African justice system is a welcome idea that we support and we shall continue supporting. Plea bargaining is good for us and we continue supporting it. We are sensitized. We also sensitize our inmates and encourage them to take it up because it helps them and it helps us. Our observation has been that in the center here, it is doing well, but in the countryside, some judicial officers are taking it lightly. We find that the prisoners do register for plea bargaining, and they find a judicial officer taken a month before he handles them. So we would wish that they are also encouraged to take it as fast as possible so that we decongest. Our prayer is that as we do plea bargain, we also consider non-custodial sentences in the plea bargain process and the ordinary sessions, so that some convicts or many convicts do not come to our facilities for now because we are beyond our capacity, like how worship presented. And this congestion distorts our work. We are not able to do the reformation and rehabilitation of offenders because we are not able to separate their categories. Now you find that we are mixed up. Remands and convicts stay together wherever there is. We are utilizing space wherever it is. You should have heard that we are even transferring remands to prison farms, not for labor, but to utilize the space available in those farms where we prefer to take convicts. So we request that alternative or non-custodial sentences are also taken up so that people can pay fines or do community service and other non-custodial sentences that will help the situation that not everybody comes to prison. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and that is well taken, and I think it is good that the leadership of the judiciary is here. We have taken note. Once people have expressed interest in really plea bargaining, we shouldn't leave them hanging for so long waiting. I think it should be taken up immediately. I think that is what we have noted. And of course, the non-custodial sentences, I'm sure that can be mostly in non-capital. That most times even you find actually most of these people have been served, theft of a bunch of matoke and someone has been in custody for more than 6 months. So we have taken note of that, and definitely, and we want to really thank you. Prisons have been very, very supportive. I think the success of plea bargain has been that when we brought prisons on board, they have been very supportive. Even during the time of COVID, we did not completely close down. We continued, and it was because of your support and your cooperation as prison. So we want to thank you for that. I don't know whether...
Religious Council of Uganda, they have questions.
Okay, Interreligious Council. Yes, I think I've seen 2 hands there. Bishop Luere and...
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I want to start by thanking your lordships for involving us as religious leaders in the efforts that the judiciary is making to ease the case backlog, but specifically in this area of alternative dispute resolution. In our meeting with the Chief Justice Emeritus in November, it was on Monday, November 9th. Remember when we met him in chambers in Kololo, and we expressed our concern on the case backlog. He said he would like us to get involved, and from that day we agreed that we would be involved, and we are very, very happy that you have continually invited us. I want to, in a few minutes, just to highlight the impact of AJS in the issue of ikumbanyaship. The ikumbanyaship is the cultural institution of Bagwere. The Bagwere have a king, is called Ikumbanya. The institution started in the early 90s with much tensions and court cases right from the inception. There were a lot of disagreements among the founding leaders. But in 2013, government gazetted the Ikumbanyaship institution, and later on a king was installed, the Ikumbanya. It gained so much attraction within the local community, but also in all the eastern region of Uganda. It became very prominent. And of course, once it did, so many people got interested. Unfortunately, the Ikumbanya died in 2021 around COVID time. And as soon as he died, 6 contestants arose, each one claiming to be the rightful heir to the throne, resulting in 19 court cases, both in the High Court and the Court of Appeal. All these court cases were going on, and each of the contestants had a lot of money. They went here and there throughout the community, demanding and seeking sitting on that throne. The Ministry of Gender intervened, and for 4 years tried in vain to sort this problem, until early last year, they wrote a letter to the chairman, Council of Presidents of the Interreligious Council, indicating that they had tried their efforts in vain, and therefore they wanted us to intervene and help out. Our chairman, Dr. Kazimba Mugalu, the chairman of Interreligious Council, appointed me and the other 6 members to form a committee to go and mediate. One of them is here, Bishop Lugorobi, and Sheikh Waiswa, who has just gone out, and we have our lawyer here, John Osapiri. These were part of the team that we worked with. We immediately started the work and quickly connected with Professor Kauka and the then acting principal judge, and we got training in Nakawa, which one of the presenters showed here. We had that training in Nakawa in how to handle cases, and the details of which I don't need to go into. And so we immediately went to Bugwere. To cut the long story short, these leaders, 128 clans, were divided amongst the 6 contestants. Each contestant had a group of clans, and they would never see eye to eye to each other. We managed to meet the contestants first, then started to meet the clan leaders, then finally managed to get all of them together, forgiving each other, reconciling, and through all those efforts in those few weeks, we had managed to get this whole team start working together and discussing the way forward in a unanimous and amicable manner. This was something that was outstanding. By now, 80% plus of the work has been done. We had to pause our efforts just because we were going into election. We did not want to confuse the efforts we were making with the election of leadership, because the politicians were getting into this process and almost making it very difficult. So we decided to pause it until after election. So now we are going to resume the process, and we know very well that it's going to be very successful, and we know it will be a very, very good example of what it can be as you, the judiciary, can entrust us to do some of this work. We are very grateful that you trusted us with that, with the training, just like the Ministry of Gender did. And we know so many other institutional challenges, especially the cultural institutions, will get a lot of support from us and from the judiciary as we work together. That is a summary of what AGS can do and what we can achieve together. Whatever or whoever can bring something on the table to ease the case backlog, but also look at the 19 cases which are in court. They were all stopped. The principal judge wrote to the High Court and the Court of Appeal to say all these cases have been stopped, waiting for the mediation. And all the contestants agreed that they will set aside all the court cases, and now they are ready for the mediation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bishop Luere, for sharing that and telling us how it is very important and that we are on the right track. You can just give, I think let's exhaust your table. Let's exhaust your table. Thank you.
Your Lordships, the Chief Justices, all protocol observed, thank you for the opportunity to say something in this high-powered conference. My Lords, I'm rising on the point of privacy in cases of conflicts that would need to be kept away from the prying eyes of the media. Churches in Uganda, both traditional and non-traditional, these days are steadily recording an increase in family breakdowns and related domestic disputes, some ending in separation and others in divorce, placing growing pressure on the formal court system and exacting a heavy social cost on families, children, and to an extent, communities. These disputes are deep personal. They are always emotionally charged and culturally sensitive, yet they often enter a litigation process that is adversarial by design. It's also time-consuming and ill-suited to preserving relationships that must continue beyond judgment, especially where children, extended families, and shared livelihoods are involved. In this regard, the ADR and the AGS present not only a timely, practical, and cultural resonant solution, but also a very welcome one. These mechanisms, such as mediation, conciliation, and formal conferencing, offer confidential, cost-effective, and faster pathways to resolving disputes, while AGS framework allows community-rooted, value-based processes to operate in harmony with the formal justice system. We therefore fully welcome the strengthening and the institutionalization of ADR and AGS for family and marital disputes under the oversight of the judiciary, with clear referral pathways from courts, trained mediators, and safeguards for vulnerable parties. Such an approach would not only decongest the courts, but also restore dignity, preserve families where possible, and advance restorative justice in line with Uganda's social fabric and constitutional values. More so, the system would protect the needed privacy of the parties in conflict and resolve the disputes with less exposure to tabloids and news lines that are unforgiving in their coverage, especially where conflict affords them the sensitive information that they are always digging for. Please, let this happen sooner than later, because nobody wants any of their bedroom stuff exposed on the main streets of our cities. And I thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Just lessons learned from the Bugwere engagement, just one of them. The lawyers are not comfortable with AGS and ADR. To them, they really see that they are losing out in terms of professionalism, participation, and business. So we need to have a really intentional move to see how we can mitigate that if we are to get results. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think that's why the training involves also the lawyers, so that they understand that with the ADR actually and AJS, they get more than when the case takes 25 years in court. Yes, thank you. Have we exhausted that table?
Not yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, my lord. My name is John Osapiri. I'm the team leader for legal and policy at the IRSCU. I just wanted to put across some key asks from the Interreligious Council of Uganda. While we have been comprehensively trained, the training was focused on senior religious leaders at the national level. So we want to ask the Judicial Training Institute and the judiciary to roll out this trainings to the regional councils, but also to the districts structures of the Interreligious Council. And then the other thing, I think it would be in order to certify these AJS practitioners, especially those who have been trained, so that you have a record of them, but also so that the court would actually know who are the service providers when it comes to AJS for clarity. And also, we want to see close coordination, especially between the mediation registry for the court and the informal justice actors. For example, if people have been trained, it would be good once in a while if there are cases to be mediated, religious leaders or other actors could actually be called on that there is need for this kind of mediation to be done at this level. And then lastly, we of course call for more case studies, especially learning from our counterparts in Kenya. We heard about the Nakuru Peace Center and what they are doing in respect to AJS. So it would be good to have case studies, some of the stakeholders here going to learn from our stakeholders, the other stakeholders and actors in Kenya. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for that. And we have taken note. I think as the table, we have exhausted the table. Because I see a hand behind there.
Can you pick one? Pick one. Just one. You pick one.
Yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, my lord. All protocol observed. My lord, my name is Kenneth Barunji, and I'm a mediator at the Commercial Division. I only have a few questions for education. One is that these instruments we are going to get, will they restrict me as a mediator to only one division or only one court, or I can rove between one court and another depending on my competencies and my convenience? Secondly, we know that if we could mitigate a case from coming to court, would have also contributed to backlog reduction. So if a case is mediated before it is filed in court between two parties and they sign an agreement, is there a mechanism between this private mediator and the courts of law to bring that agreement and I file it before the judge, before any judicial officer, and then it becomes as strong and as enforceable as if it were a consent judgment? Because I believe that's one of the ways of reducing on cases. The other question is about tools for mediators. One of the elders here has suggested that incentives for mediators should be focused on, and you reiterated that it's going to be worked on. But is there a way that, for example, mediators can be provided with computers or printers? Because those who manage through ECMIS do most of the work themselves in the morning or late in the evening or over weekends to raise hearing notes through ECMIS. If I have to depend on support staff in court, I have to address them as Her Worships and Your Worships before they can help us. And that's really frustrating. Although our heads of divisions have done their best to give us support staff, but it's not as convenient and supportive as we expected. And finally, is it in order for court-accredited mediators to formally to form an association so that at one point or another they could also have representation? Is it in order? For JTI, I would like to encourage you that for every meeting we have, every mediation, every session we have, we publicize mediation. And we have seen a change of heart within the lawyers, the advocates themselves. Of course, with making mediation mandatory, there is a great change of heart. So would JTI recognize our effort in some way? Because for every session, we spend about 10 to 30 minutes educating parties and advocates about the benefits of mediation. Thank you very much, my lord.
Thank you so much. I think we shall take all the questions, then yes, my lord, deeper, then we can answer at once. You have a microphone there. No, we can't hear you. No.
My lord, can you hear me? Okay. My lord, if we could, all protocols observed, if we could get an email where we could post the issues, because there are quite a number, and I don't think we have the time. But before I do that, I just want us to clap for our worship at Kwasa, who originates from BG Court. That is our product. But as we are going into this ADR, on a serious note, I know what's going to follow is performance review. My lords, before we go into the performance reviews, I pray that we look at the nature of offenses that tend to have plea bargaining. Like in MPG and also the central areas, most of the plea bargains are cases like defilement and not cases like murder. Then you have instances of cultural differences. In the north, ADR comes naturally, but in the central, it's a different story. So we need to have that in mind. Prisons, the officer from prisons, I want to thank prisons at least for the number of months that I've been in PG. Prisons is one of the most organized institutions I have come across. But having said that, he also pointed that some judicial officers are not taking this seriously. I know the issue of funds and logistics has been mentioned and you're looking into it, but we are tied to the criminal session that happens and the funds are just for that session. So we only handle plea bargains during those sessions. Hopefully, with time, we'll be able to manage it. My lords, finally, you find the issue of logistics can't be underemphasized. We have instances of space. His Lordship well duly mentioned mediators. But apart from mediators, we need space. For a simple tent to reach our circuits is a problem. So we just need more space to be able. I'm sure the rest we can email, so please provide us with the email that we can send all our issues to. Thank you.
Thank you, my Lord Deepa, for raising that. We shall respond to it. My Lord Sarah Langa. Does your microphone work? Perfect.
Thank you, my Lord PJ and Chair of the session. My Lord, my reaction relates to the presentation of Her Worship Justin on the issue of the challenges to plea bargaining, which is the lack of police files. My Lord, the issue of police files has been a long problem in the judiciary, especially affecting criminal justice. And I'm just wondering what we can do about it, because we'll appreciate that lack of police files not only affects trials, but even committals. I think we have so many delayed committals out there spanning years even, from what I have seen practically in our circuit. And when you dig the bottom line, it is the issue of lack of police files. Police files is affecting plea bargaining, as has been said. It's affecting trials. And I just want to share one example of what we did in our circuit, which perhaps the next time an engagement is had with the director CID, perhaps it can trickle down from up. My Lord, we had about 91 files that prisons sent us as persons who have clocked their mandatory period on remand. And I tasked your former team, the assistant DPP of the circuit, to show cause why these persons should not be released on bail. My Lord, it took about 3 weeks, but in the 3 weeks, about 80 cases were committed. Now, when I had a chat with one of the chief state attorneys, they said they had to practically go to police stations. What did they find? There is a gap in handover processes of most of these investigating officers. We know how often they are trained, and it's like somebody just gets up the minute the warrant, or is it the instruction, comes. My Lord, files were found in cabinets, abandoned, and all that without records. So I think this is a national problem, that the issue of handover of files, especially by investigating officers, keeps this perennial problem of lack of police files. So I think there is need for a higher engagement on this. Otherwise, it will continue affecting trials, it will continue affecting plea bargain, but also it will continue affecting committals and resulting in people spending even 2 or 3 years just waiting for a committal. My Lord, I thank you.
Thank you so much, my Lord Sarah Langa. This is completely noted. I think we just need to have an honest discussion with the leadership of the police. Thank you. Yes, I see a hand there. Justice Linda. Yes.
Thank you, my Lord, the Honorable, the Principal Judge. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate the incoming Chief Justice, our new Chief Justice, Dr. Zaija, and to congratulate you as well upon your appointment as Principal Judge, and to thank our Chief Justice Emeritus for birthing ADR. Mine is to acknowledge the support of Justice Kauka and your team for the training that we have had. I believe that our performance in mediation and the increased performance in our ADR performance is attributed actually to the focus and the support that we have been receiving. The industrial court, as you all know, is a court of reference, and our court, or forum of first instance, is the labor office. The majority of cases at that level are supposed to be resolved by conciliation and arbitration. However, since the court was revamped in 2014, we noted that the labor officers did not have any standard format of carrying out the conciliation and mediation. It is not formalized, there's no standard procedure, there are no guidelines, not even the regulations, the employment regulations provide for guidance on how to do conciliation. And so it has been done haphazardly. As a result, we have very many undeserving cases trickling to the industrial court. You can imagine a person seeking for payment of 500,000 unpaid wages, having to wait for over 5 years to have their matter resolved at the court, as opposed to having this matter resolved at the labor office. And since your engagement with the industrial court, you have trained labor officers in Kampala, Mbarara, and I think the ones in Lira, which has resulted actually in improved performance and less references of small cases to the court. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank you very much, to seek and request that you continue strengthening this relationship, but also as we developed the mediation rules, also consider looking at specific guidelines for labor officers, mediation, ADR in labor dispute resolution, because the disputes there are resolved differently. So we need to give a little maybe specialized guidelines for them and specific training for them. We thank you very much.
Thank you, my Lord Justice Linda, for sharing that. And I would ask you that you give us some write-up to help us come up with the guidelines, because you have noted really rightfully that industrial court is unique and we need to have different guidelines. It cannot be one fits all. I think I will now invite, we have President Emeritus, ULS, Francis Gimara is here. I see Christine Verabwa is here. They represent the private sector. So could you, one of you, speak to that? just so that we can have some connection. How does the private sector come in ADR and AJS? And specifically, maybe you can tell us how we can strengthen collaboration, because you know that you are a very important link in this conversation. Yes, President Emeritus.
My Lord, PJ had wanted to give the lady first, but she has passed it over to me. I will proceed and first of all thank the judiciary and your leadership for this meeting, because in management they say what is not measured is not achieved. So the fact that we are here measuring 1 year of intense ADR reforms is a testimony of intention to move to a greater level, and I really, really acknowledge the leadership of the judiciary for this meeting. From the private sector, it's not all doom. Change is coming. The lawyers are beginning to be trained. So I would rather that this year we don't fortify the position that it is very difficult for lawyers or brand lawyers as people who are frustrating mediation. We should begin to look at lawyers as people who need to be trained to appreciate the role of ADR. Because sometimes when you use the language that they are always frustrating, you build a mindset. Yeah, so we need this year to change that mindset. Let's look at them as allies. And indeed, as you can see, they are beginning to recognize that ADR is for them. So along that also, we think that the new proposed rules of mediation will be helpful in that they recognize very specifically the role of lawyers, what they are supposed to do in mediation, how they are supposed to prepare their clients. And for people who like to ask the question, show me the law, we would like to respond that that is a very good innovation, because now in the proposed mediation rules, their role is documented, and definitely they will respond. The other issue is, of course, to demonstrate that there is practice of ADR growing. Normally, the thinking is that the pie is limited, but I think that we need to, again, show the lawyers that the ADR pie can be expanded. It is not taking away jobs, but it's also an opportunity for them to create ADR practice centers. As you can see on the table of religious leaders, there are 2 lawyers. So that's just one segment of critical AJS actors. But I think every clan, I happen to be an attorney general of my clan, so I also think that they appointed me as attorney general, and it was rather hilarious. But you can work with them and think with them that at that level, it is an AJS intervention. There are so many disputes that can be resolved at that level, from a clan level up to the other AJS action points. So allow me say that at the private practice also, the need to collaborate. I think, again, these meetings are important to involve many private actors, but also, even as we get into the rules, let's also think about more innovations. I think in Tanzania, they amended their Civil Procedure Act and introduced Section 13, which requires you to take bona fide steps to demonstrate that you have taken bona fide steps to resolve the matter through ADR before you file a suit. So, and that mirrors the Civil Procedure Act of Australia. So definitely, if we marry that and what is being asked in the meeting today, we can see that through such opportunities, for instance, in Tanzania today, the discussion is just around that and the opportunity it is creating. Because if I get a matter in my chambers, I must now look for a private mediator. For instance, I must look for my sister Christine and say, can you mediate this matter before I go to a court of law? So again, that is showing us that the thinking around ADR is a growth opportunity for the private sector. So I'd like to submit, my Lord PJ, that the opportunities are there, the private sector is ready, and at the private sector we are also organizing ourselves to have more learnings, to have more conversations. For instance, between the 9th and the 13th of March this year, we will have a big meeting that will have all the stakeholders, judiciary, private sector, for 5 days. Day 1 will be mediation. Day 2 will be a capacity building workshop on AJS. Day 3 will be on construction adjudication. Day 4 will be on domestic arbitration, and Day 5 will be on international arbitration. So we hope that by creating such meetings, we'll be bringing in more lawyers, and the conversation will deepen the uptake of ADR. So I think at the private sector, a lot of initiatives are happening, and we can only say that the ones that you are doing in the judiciary is great leadership. Eventually, these things are going to combine and make dispute resolution more effective, and in so doing, we'll be breathing life and giving more just access to justice for the citizens of this country. I thank you, my Lord PJ.
Thank you so much. Yes, you can clap for him. Thank you so much, Mr. Gimara Francis, for letting us know how the private sector gets into this conversation. I also don't want to leave out our development partners. Madam Barbara Kiley, I am sure you don't want to be left out of this conversation. You have been part of this journey. Let's give you a chance to join in the conversation. Please go ahead.
Thank you, PJ, and good afternoon to everyone here. I think from the development partners' perspective, one is to congratulate the judiciary for adopting alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, and to urge you to continue to promote the same, because we believe that alternative dispute resolution practices are actually more people-centered and will facilitate the delivery of justice to the Monanchi as is required. So ours is to work with you in this journey and to congratulate you for all the steps that you have taken. So all the best in your endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Barbara, and thank you for your partnership. I am just thinking that shortly there's still a pending question which we asked that Ladit, Chief Justice Emeritus, answers. And okay, sorry, I wasn't looking around. Can we have a microphone for DCJ Emeritus? Please go ahead.
Thank you, my Lord. Just a few comments. One, I think we need to, when I looked on the screen, I can see prisoners' uniform here. I didn't see police. Probably they were invited. But generally, I think we need to concentrate on involving police in ADR. They get in contact with the people more than most of us for a start. So involve police. Two, I think we need to focus on regular meetings between mediators and judicial officers. Some courts are doing it. Quite a number are not. Let's also interest a number of our judicial officers, and they are identifiable. Those that are still behaving like lawyers on ADR are still here. That's the reality. That's why there are few referrals. Let's check ourselves. I think we also need to do a lot on record keeping and reporting on ADR by some courts. Quite a number are not yet reporting properly. A big one is lack of space for ADR. where do people mediate from? I know top management is still working on it, but it's a lot of work to do. People have nowhere to do mediations from. Another area to work on seriously is service of summons for parties that are coming to mediate. It's a big issue. It's difficult to get, for those of us who are mediators, getting service is not easy. Let's work on it. There was talk of non-custodial sentences. This is always right, but let's be cautious of public opinion. Don't run for non-custodial sentences for murder. A number of the cases we are mediating at the High Court. Be cautious. Of course, you can do community service at magistrates' courts. You can do non-custodial sentences, but it's not an area to rush in the view of our public concerns in this. Thank you very much, my Lord.
Thank you so much, my Lord DCJ Emeritus. Thank you for raising those, and you're very, very right. Police involvement. They were invited, but police in here, maybe we have not seen them. No, they're not here, but they need to be in the conversation because ADR can actually start happening at police. And of course, my Lord, you have all the key points you've raised, we have noted it. And one of the retired justices actually got me one time we were in church. We got out of church and he was he was not amused. Let me put it mildly, he was not amused because of summons, the summons for these people, for the parties to come. I think there's poor service of summons. So we have noted that, my Lord. And of course, the space, that is, it was also raised by Justice Deeper. That is something that even most of the places I've visited, that's really so glaring. We need space because of the people we bring to do the mediation. We can't have them hanging in corridors. So thank you so much, my Lord, for bringing that up. And do we have another one before I ask Justice Andrew first to... Thank you,
okay,
my Lord.
I know we've had comments about how we recognize private mediation into our judicial system. The Singapore Convention, which Uganda is signatory, but we have not domesticated it here, is elaborate on that process. Because you see, when we do arbitration, we bring the award, and then it is filed within the court system, and is recognized, and it becomes like an order of court, and actually execution can begin. So the Singapore Convention is actually trying to encourage that, to bring mediated settlements in that realm. And for that reason, you will be encouraging private mediation. So many people can go to private mediators, and then eventually they will find it easier to go there because they know at the end of the day, their agreements that they will achieve there will become eventually part of an enforceable agreement, rather than a contract which you have again to come to court if there is a breach to file a case maybe under summary procedure. So I think we included it in our amendments of the regulations. Let's hope that we are yet to bring them before the Judiciary Council, but it was included. So let's see how it goes.
Thank you so much, my Lord CJ, for bringing that up. I think that would also answer the part of the question that was asked by the mediator from Commercial Division. And of course, I think, I don't know, I can be guided. I don't think there's anything that stops them from forming an association.
No, there is no, I mean, the freedom to associate is universal. They can form an association.
Thank you so much, my Lord CJ. I think you have had it. And also, I think when you also asked the question of whether you can do mediation in more than one division or one circuit, but I think you're tied to commercial division for now. I don't think you can hop from one to the next. I think.
My Lord PJ.
Yes.
He may not hop from division to division.
Yes.
But if, for example, in one of the divisions, parties agree that they want him as a mediator,
yes,
then nothing prevents him from mediating that matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, my Lord. Thank you, my Lord CJ, for putting the record right. So I think he's nodding his head, so he has understood. Thank you so much, my Lord. I think now we can, if there's no any other, we can hear from the CJ Emeritus.
The question by my Lord Justice Cheborian about regulating alternative justice system. There is need for great caution. The alternative justice system really is the informal, community or societal based, and it applies so much of custom. To my mind, we go back to what we studied in first year law school, I think introduction to law. How do you legislate custom? I think that would be the biggest act of parliament, from the floor to the ceiling, because there are as many customs as there are various communities in this country. So are you going to pick the one of the ITESO? Even within TESO, you'll find the subgroups. So on a single matter, there'll be variations or variants of the same custom. The council we had at school, which I would also urge with regard to the application of alternative justice system, is recognition. Ours would be part oversight, part guidance. Let's take the one you mentioned, Matoput. What's Matoput? Matoput is actually, I've said it's a misnomer, because Matoput is like a seal, the seal you append to the decree of the court. But the justice in that AGS is the blood settlement. That cuts across all societies, that when a wrong is committed, there is blood settlement. If you take life, there's some form of settlement. In 1902, when we had the Order in Council, which introduced largely the English legal system here, they came up with the repugnancy clause. The repugnancy clause has traveled with us up to now. In the 1962 Constitution, the Judicature Act, up to now, including in our present Constitution of 1995. Then it is a matter of taking each situation or each case and studying it. Does it offend? Does the practice that leads to Matoput, for example, along the way, does it offend the rule against repugnancy? If it does not, then you allow it, you allow it to go. So in the main, the role of the court will be to guide. Maybe the Chief Justice will come up with some practice direction. That does the process, the procedure adopted to reach Matoput, does it meet the rules that govern a fair hearing? So the Chief Justice might want to come up with a general practice direction that guide AGS, that in all your proceedings, beware of this, the right to be heard. Do not, let me give the example, the law, the criminal law here provides now for community service as a form of sentence, non-custodial. Outside there, in the communities, if you abuse an old man or you make a reference to somebody untoward, they still cane you. Now the Chief Justice might have to come up with a practice direction, point out that you can still punish somebody in the community for doing this wrong, But now caning is banned. That is torture now. So that he may now, instead of being caned, so you go and work in this old man's garden for 3 days. You go and, so that you make peace with the old man. That is like community service. Otherwise, it would be wrong to attempt to legislate or to regulate as it is. I would urge guidance and then recognition the positive aspects. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, please, let's give him a clap. Thank you so much, my Lord CJ Emeritus, for sharing your wisdom with us. I think now no. Yes, that is the end. I think this session comes to a close. I want to thank the presenters, the ADR team who presented to us, JTI who gave us a snapshot of the trainings that they have done, and every one of us who contributed to this. I want to say thank you so much. I think this is how we were envisioning it, that it would look like, that we shall have an honest conversation all round. So thank you so much.
My Lord CJ, this is the citation for the industrial court, which I'm going to read. The judiciary hereby confers special recognition upon the industrial court for its outstanding and exemplary performance in the application of mediation during 2025 reporting period, demonstrating a profound commitment to efficient and equitable labor justice. The industrial court achieved a remarkable case clearance rate of 46.7%. For the matters referred to mediation. Court culminating in 209 cases fully settled. This exceptional rate stands as the highest among all court divisions, a testament to the court's institutional effort and strategic adoption of alternative dispute resolution mechanism. Under the distinguished leadership of Honorable Justice Linda Tumusime Mugisha, the court established itself as an enabler of accessible justice by expertly utilizing mediation to resolve complex labor disputes. The industrial court has not only alleviated its caseload, but has also provided faster, more and durable, mutually acceptable outcomes for the people of Uganda. The judiciary commends the industrial court for the model practice which powerfully advances the national vision of justice for all. That's the citation for industrial court.
This is a citation, commendation for the family division of the High Court. The judiciary proudly commends the family division of the High Court of Uganda for its exemplary and stellar performance in alternative dispute resolution during the 2025 reporting period. As a key pillar of justice within the nation, the family division distinguished itself by leading all High Court divisions in the number of cases
fully settled through mediation. This achievement reflects a profound institutional commitment, exemplary judicial posture, and a progressive attitude towards mediation as a core mechanism for justice delivery. Under the leadership of His Lordship, John Hughes Katrima, the division went above and beyond its mandate. It demonstrated what is possible when a court wholeheartedly embraces mediation to ensure that families do not merely receive a decision, but achieve final, resolute, and mutually acceptable justice that preserves relationships and promotes societal harmony. The division's performance sets a benchmark for excellence and is a model for the entire judiciary.
My Lord Chief Justice, permit me to stand on the protocol which has been established. My role here is to read the citation in appreciation for Ruot Casimiro Ongom. The judiciary extends its highest commendation to Ruot Casimiro Ongom, the esteemed Ruot of K. Karl Patton. Since 2016, Ruot Ongom has served as a distinguished practitioner within our alternative justice system framework, consistently demonstrating extraordinary skill in resolving disputes of profound complexity. In November 2025, his exceptional dedication culminated in the resolution of Land Civil Suit number 4 of 2025, a deeply entrenched land conflict originating in 1971. For 57 years, this dispute eluded resolution through conventional channels. Ruot Ongom's tireless effort, wise guidance, and unwavering commitment finally brought lasting peace to the affected families and community. Ruot Casimiro Ongom embodies the very essence of what AJS actors should be: a beacon of timeless wisdom and a vital aid to justice where the adversarial system reaches its limits. The judiciary sincerely thanks him for his invaluable service and celebrates him as a true partner in the pursuit of accessible, durable, and culturally grounded justice. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship, and my Lords Odohi, Baguma, and Alan. We are not going to be here reading citations for others. Next year, they should be reading ours. My Lord, the Chief Justice, in recognition of the Honorable Chief Justice Alphonse Chigamoy Oweny Dolo's exemplary contributions to advancing alternative dispute resolution in Uganda and Africa, we honor his dedication to judicial reform, mediation, and peace building. Born on January 18th, 1956, in modern-day Agago district, he holds a Bachelor of Laws from Makerere University, Master of Arts in Conflict Resolution from the University of Bradford, a Master's in Dispute Resolution from Pepperdine University. He also holds a Diploma in Legal Practice from the Law Development Center and a Certificate in Advanced Mediation from University of Cape Town. Key achievements and timelines. In 1988, Legal counsel in UPDM, Government Peace Talks, drafting agreement signed on the 3rd of June in 1988. In 1994 to 1996, Constituent Assembly member involved in debates contributing to the 1995 Uganda Constitution. 1996 to 2001, MP, Member of Parliament for Agago County, advocating legislative reforms. In 2006 to 2008, Counsel to Rek Mashar in LRA NRM mediation. 2008, my Lord, the Chief Justice Emeritus was appointed High Court judge, and he also presided over the 2010 Kampala bombings trial, which judgment was delivered in May 2016. 2015 to 2016, he was appointed Justice of the Court of Appeal. 2020, appointed Acting Chief Justice on 22nd of June 2020, and on the 20th of August 2020, he was appointed Chief Justice. 2020 to 2025, he led the judiciary transformation agenda, promoting ADR, reducing backlogs, and increasing budget of the judiciary from 199 billion to 442 billion. 26th to 27th of June 2023, he co-hosted the first high-level national summit on ADR in Uganda, launched the Judiciary of Uganda Alternative Justice Systems Strategy. On the 3rd to the 4th of March 2024, he hosted the first African Chief Justice Conference, founded African Chief Justice Forum on ADR as the pioneer chair. In June of 2024, International Pan-African Summit of Chief Justices in Switzerland, hosted by the Pepperdine University, where the African judiciaries shared ADR best practices. In 2025, I beg your pardon, African Chief Justices Forum organized the Africa Chief Justice Arbitration Summit in Geneva, Switzerland, which was attended by 25 African judiciaries. 2025 still, he acted, between 2024 and 2025, he acted as a mediator, settling a 23-year land dispute involving 640 acres of land at Mutungo Hill, estimated at about 1.3 trillion Uganda shillings, between the estate of the late Bule Mohammed Kasasa and the Kingdom of Buganda. 2025, he launched the Care Kwaro Acholi AJS pilot. My Lord, the Chief Justice Emeritus retired on the 18th of January 2026 after attaining the age of 70, leaving a legacy of equitable and restorative justice in the judiciary and Uganda at large. My Lord, the Chief Justice, you could come and hand over the award. Thank you so much. Thank you. Congratulations, Ladit. Congratulations. I now take this honor to invite the Chief Justice to come and address us. Chief Justice, you're most welcome.
Before I make my address, you are going to receive this small document bound titled Architect of Dialogue Reforms, Chief Justice Emeritus, Honorable Justice Alphonse Chigamoy, and the rise of ADR in Uganda. So you will receive this, and it's also part of the award to you, CJ Emeritus, and then it comes with a painting. It begins with his memorable experience which includes meeting with Joseph Kony, the notorious warlord and leader of the Rhodes Resistance Army, in a bid to build peace in Uganda. I think when we were handing over, I mentioned the story he told me of how he went to meet Joseph Kony. When Joseph Kony had already issued an edict to bring his head, dead or alive, whatever that meant. Whether they can bring your head when you are alive is another story. So we've tried to really include everything here, so you'll do the reading on your own. Thank you so much, my Lord Chief Justice. So this is part of what we'll award to you. My Lord, the Chief Justice Emeritus, my Lords, the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice Emeritus, let me stand on the protocol that was earlier on laid out. Greetings to you all. I welcome you all to this first annual ADR performance review meeting, which will end with the launch of ADR performance report for the year 2025. Now, I particularly want to welcome the religious leaders. I think when we were training you in JTI, I told you that when I was a circuit judge, I used to refer matters to bishops, religious leaders in the circuit, particularly in Mbarara. I think that's why I did it quite a lot. And every time I referred the parties there, I would tell them that now, if you fail before God and you want to settle before Satan, that is your business. I always, surprisingly, I always got settlements whenever I would send these matters there. And that's why I think that we should utilize them the more. And I like your proposal to train not only the top leadership, but also to go regional. Because that will help to resolve so many matters. Like family matters, if I saw a family matter that can be settled by a bishop, I would just send it. And it wouldn't take more than a week. Within 1 week, you have a settlement. That is one case less what you are supposed to deal with. Allow me to say from the onset that this is a moment of recognition of the quiet, patient, but productive labor that mediators willingly and passionately offer every day in service of justice. While judgments are powerful documents that bind parties at the end of the litigation, mediation outcomes bear something equally powerful, to wit, consent, understanding, and restored human relationships. We do not achieve this in a litigation. The judiciary of Uganda continues to pursue its constitutional mandate to administer justice in a manner that is accessible, timely, affordable, and responsive to the needs, values, and aspirations of the people of Uganda. Central to this mandate is the recognition that justice must not only be delivered through formal education, but must also embrace alternative and complementary mechanisms that promote reconciliation, social harmony, and peaceful coexistence. Now, Article 126 of the Constitution reminds us that justice shall be administered in conformity with the values, norms, and aspirations of the people. And this is where we emphasize ADR under that article of the Constitution. Negotiation, mediation, reconciliation, and other peaceful forms of settling disputes predate the courtroom and litigation. They are deeply rooted in our communities, cultures, and traditions. What the judiciary has done through institutional reform is to recognize, professionalize, and integrate this wisdom into our formal justice system. Institutionalizing ADR. The formalization of ADR registry as a fully-fledged registry of the judiciary in April 2024 marked a defining institutional moment. Anchored in Section 6 of the Administration of the Judiciary Act and reinforced by the Judiciary Alternative Justice System Strategy of 2023, this reform affirmed ADR as a mainstream component of case management and justice delivery. We need to appreciate that the formal justice system is not understood I think when I was an advocate, I used to represent people. You go to court and then you think you are making very wonderful submissions. You come out and then someone asks you, what were you talking about? And yet he's educated. I actually got surprised when a professor asked me so when I was representing him in court. That's when I realized that we talk to ourselves when you go to court. Something different from ADR. Now, of course, the question remains, how do we bring decisions into the formal system? And I've already mentioned something about the Singapore Convention. And perhaps sometimes we need to appreciate that society doesn't even understand us. I think when we were training you in JTI, the religious leaders, I gave you a story of Karamoja. In Karamoja, I went there for Court Open Day. And one of their main concerns was how we behave as courts. That they settle their matters, they come and tell us that they have settled their matters, and for us we say we want to continue. The example they gave me is that when you murder a woman in Karamoja, you pay a fine of 120 cows. If you kill a man, you pay 60. Men are cheaper. Yeah, so it is cheaper to kill a man than a woman in Karamoja. But now for them, what they were asking me is, we go home, we negotiate, and we say, okay, you killed our woman, bring 120 cows. The clan brings the 120 cows. When they come for their prisoner, we tell them that for us, we are continuing, this is murder. So they were not happy with that. So we needed to find out how do we then, link the two systems. Should they do, for example, in that situation where the clan has come, the two clans have settled, maybe we do some pre-bargaining and release the person under that arrangement? Something has to be done about it. So that we don't look like we are, detached from the society we serve. Now, for mediators, this was more than an administrative change. It was a clear message that your work matters, your role is central, and your contribution is indispensable. This report provides a comprehensive account of how mediation, pre-bargaining, and other adjudication innovations have performed in practice. It demonstrates that ADR mechanisms are not theoretical ideas. They are working solutions delivering tangible results across the court levels. The impact of ADR. During the reporting period of January to November 2025, mediation disposed of 5,246 cases, representing approximately 4% of all completed cases across civil, land, family, commercial, and other matters. These figures may appear modest at first glance, but every mediator here knows that each mediated case represents far more than a statistic. It represents a family that is reunited, a business relationship that was salvaged, neighbors who can once again greet one another without hostility, which is not possible when we make judgments. This is the true meaning of a people-centered approach to justice, for which we in the judiciary are passionate about. In the same period, pre-bargaining concluded approximately 3,000 criminal cases, contributing significantly to backlog reduction. The judiciary's overall backlog declined from 26.32% to 24.20%, continuing a steady downward trajectory over the past 5 years. But perhaps more telling than numbers are the qualitative outcomes. Mediation has restored disputes that had lingered, has resolved disputes that had lingered in courts for years, sometimes decades. The resolution of the disputes involving the estate of the late Buure Kasasa, the estate of the late Buure Kasasa, which was mentioned, is one of the best examples. Our distinguished mediators, I must acknowledge that you work in a space where law meets emotion, where rights meet relationships, and where justice meets humanity. Yours is not an easy task. You sit with the parties who arrive angry, fearful, wounded, and sometimes deeply distrustful. not only of each other, but also of the justice system itself. And yet, through patience, neutrality, and empathy, you help them speak, listen, and occasionally understand one another. You remind us that justice does not always require a winner and a loser. Sometimes justice simply requires healing. And in this sense, mediation is not just a soft form of justice, it is a wiser form of justice. There is always a story which is told about two children who were fighting over a mango. Now, each of them wanted the mango. The immediate decision which one would take to be equitable would be to share the mango into two pieces. You cut it into two, give one child a piece, and give the other child a piece. But in pre-bargaining, in mediation, you have to understand the interests of individuals, which we don't normally look for when we are litigating. In litigation, it is who has presented the best pleadings and who has brought the evidence. We give a judgment. In mediation, we have to look for the interest in that pre-bargaining. In that case. So in that orange, for example, one child, when the mother asked, "What is your interest in this orange?" One of the children said, "No, for me, I want the cover." The peer said, "Because I want to use it to make a cake." Then the other child said, "For me, I want it for juice." So what he did, the parent just peeled the orange, gave the one who wanted to use the peels, and gave the other one the orange to suck out the juice, and that was it. The conflict was resolved. In litigation, what the parent would have done was to cut the orange into two and would leave both of them dissatisfied. And so that's what, in other words, when you are pre-bargaining, you do what we call interest-based bargaining, not position-based bargaining. So what are the challenges encountered? The ADR report 2025 is commendably candid in identifying the challenges facing ADR implementation, to wit, low referral rates. Now, I will talk about these low referral rates. My lords, your worships, can we refer these matters to mediation? What is the problem? Why do you want to keep these matters? You are already complaining, you have so much on your table, but you don't want to refer them. I really don't, it's a dichotomy. Then, of course, inconsistent uptake, resource limitations, data integrity concerns, and attitudinal resistance to non-adversarial justice approaches, which continue to constrain optimal performance. And of course, the resistance, as Justice Jimara said, the resistance perhaps has a background, because right off from law school up to law development center, none of us ever told us anything to do with ADR. We were taught litigation. In fact, I remember art of advocacy at LDC. You know, they would teach us how to cross-examine a stubborn witness. How do you cross-examine a denying witness? And then at the end of the day, we would come out as proud lawyers who know how to cross-examine. But in none, I don't remember anyone telling us anything to do with ADR. So it's a transformation that we have to work on, especially through training. But let us speak frankly. Some of these challenges are institutional. Some are logistical, and some are cultural. The legal profession has long been trained to equate justice with adversarial victory. It takes humility to accept that sometimes less litigation produces more justice. As a judiciary, we shall continue conducting trainings and sensitization of both the justice stakeholders and the general public on the benefits of ADR until we foster meaningful mindset change. The resistance you may encounter from counsel, litigants, and occasionally even judicial officers is not a rejection of mediation. It is often a reflection of unfamiliarity. The solution, therefore, lies in sensitization, demonstration of success, and consistent institutional support. Now, the success of family division in mediation sends us back on the drawing board. You see, when we started the judicial performance reviews, I remember the head of family division coming in the review and saying that for him, he's going to make mediation mandatory in the family division. And he actually, through his promise, he did that. But we see the results. Now, so these fellows, no, let me not use fellows. These colleagues, forgive me for that. These colleagues who don't want to make references, should we make reference by ourselves through compulsory? It's a rethink we need to look at. Is it feasible? Did we make a mistake by removing the mandatory mediation? So it's something we need to discuss and then see. Because I remember at that time, the main complaint was that we were employing mediators that are not respectable. I think that was the main complaint, that we, young, that you would come there and you are mediating a family matter and you say, but this one, can she really understand marriage? That was the complaint that they used to. So, I don't know. It's a discussion we can have at some stage, and we'll see whether we keep it the way it is or whether we take a different, maybe whether we go back. Sometimes it is good to recognize that maybe we made a mistake and move on. A major highlight of the ADR report 2025 is the pilot rollout of alternative justice system in the Acholi sub-region. This initiative reflects our constitutional obligation to harmonize formal justice with community-based mechanisms that have resolved the majority of disputes in Uganda for generations. For mediators, AJS represents an expanded horizon, one that calls for cultural sensitivity, collaboration with traditional leaders, and respect for local values while upholding constitutional principles and human rights, especially areas that have the traditional kingships or chieftaincy. They have a lot of respect for authority in that line. So we should be seeing more of ADR within those areas. Recommendations. The recommendations in the report are practical and forward-looking. Strengthening staffing of ADR registry, that one we shall do, I can promise. Stabilizing funding, that one we shall also do. Expanding mediator accreditation, as you've heard, we want to train more and we shall accredit more. Improving data systems, we shall do that. Intensifying sensitization, you can see we are moving steadily. And then deepening integration of ADR into routine case management. Now, I was invited in the United Kingdom by the Master of Roles. The Master of Roles is the equivalent of their Deputy Chief Justice. And when I went there, one of the things I discovered is that for them, any family dispute, you cannot come to court unless you come with evidence that actually you mediated it outside the court. That's what they do, akin to what Council Jimara mentioned, what Tanzania is trying to do under their Section 13. So you cannot come to family division or to the family court unless you show that you tried to mediate family matters, because in their own view, family matters can be mediated. So it's something we can also consider. But beyond the policy and funding, the success of ADR ultimately rests on people, on your integrity, professionalism, patience, and compassion. I therefore encourage you to continue serving not only as dispute resolvers, but as ambassadors of a more humane system, a more humane justice system, one that listens, one that hears, one that understands that justice delayed is justice denied. Appreciation. I wish to thank the Chief Justice Emeritus Alphonse Chigamoy Owiny-Doro and Deputy Chief Justice Emeritus Richard Butera for engineering ADR in Uganda. Your efforts have put Uganda on the map of the African continent, a strong pillar and leader in ADR/AGS. I also commend the ADR registry, the Judicial Training Institute, mediators, judicial officers, justice sector actors, cultural and religious leaders, and all stakeholders whose dedication made the ADR Report 2025 possible. Your collaboration affirms that justice is not the work of one institution alone, but a community committed to fairness and peace. I remember for prisons, when I was a circuit judge, I used to depend a lot on prisons. Because you see, what I noticed then was that the prisoners, actually, when they stay in prison long, they take the prison warders and the hierarchy as like their family. So it is very easy to use them to achieve pre-bargaining uptake. So if you work without prisons, you are bound to fail. So I found them very helpful. And because we were working together, they were also looking forward to the next pre-bargaining camp. So I thank you, prisons, for that wonderful job you are doing. We don't take it lightly. So in conclusion, it is my sincere hope that this report will guide reform, inform policy, and strengthen the place of ADR as an indispensable pillar of justice delivery in Uganda. I thank you for your service, your patience, and your courage in promoting ADR. Thank you for listening to me, for God and my country.
My Lord, thank you very much for those words and commitments to the advancement of ADR in Uganda. So I request the Honorable Chief Justice to step forward and launch the first ADR performance report. And Chief Justice